Well, turning now to one of our other top stories here. Hartford's mayor is working to implement his priorities for 2026.
Yeah, he laid out his vision for the capital city in his State of the City address last night. Your reporter Anna Stansfield live outside of City Hall explaining some of the issues that he's hoping to address this year.
Well, good morning, guys. Education and childcare were among the major points the mayor brought up here last night. He says the city's children are its future. Dozens of Hartford residents packed the Hartford stage last night, eager to hear the mayor address the state of the capital city. Education and children at the forefront of his speech. He says right now the city is working to bring universal child care to locals, a first-of-its-kind program in the state to improve families' access to the services they need. He also explains he wants to work with the school district to close its $74.5 million budget deficit without taking away from city funds.
We're going to have to understand better whether there are ways in which we can find savings in central office, whether there are things we can, back office functions we can combine, things like finance and HR and facilities, and what the appropriate number of schools is for this district.
Another major topic of discussion last night was gun violence after two recent deadly officer-involved shootings here in the city. Some protesters even interrupted the mayor during his speech, demanding justice. I'll have more on those disruptions coming up in the next 30 minutes. For now, though, I'm your reporter live in Hartford, Anna Stansfield, Channel 3 Eyewitness News.
All right, Anna, thank you.